I love Yu-Gi-Oh! It is a very diverse game with a lot of different types of players, and those players are broken down into mainly two groups, as I have seen. There are casual players and then there are competitive players. Casual players and competitive players vary where the dollar is concerned. One group of people choose to play decks casually so they don't have to bust their humps trying to afford the best decks every format because they just simply can't. However, there is one specific instance in which casual players have completely dropped the ball, and that is understanding the importance of a +1. Specifically a +1 from a card called Pot of Desires. So unless you've been living under a rock for the past year and a half since this card came out in the Dark Illusion, basically the effect of this card is that you banish 10 cards from the top of your deck and draw 2 cards. And you can only activate Pot of Desires once per turn. So at this point you might be thrown off a little bit as to why I started this video talking about casual players versus competitive players. Well, the reason that I found that that was sort of a good place to start is because I noticed that a lot of casual players misunderstand the purpose of this card, and a lot of competitive players misunderstand the purpose of this card as well. So to really understand why Pot of Desires is such a good card, you have to understand the concept of card advantage, which is the idea that controlling more cards and having more cards in your hand enables you to do more things than your opponent, therefore putting you in a better position to win the game as you can out-resource your opponent. In a similar way that cards like Psyframe Lord Omega and Erebus, the Underworld Monarch, are good cards as they take resources away from your opponent, especially in situations when you go first and are able to set up a board so that your opponent cannot out your board unless they have hand traps. Pot of Desires gives you an additional card to help you solidify your board going first or second. This is especially true in decks that are more combo oriented, like ABCs, which require their combo of Union Hanger, Photon Thrasher, or Gadget, and an ABC piece in their opening hand to make Decode Talker and Buster Dragon turn 1. So without Pot of Desires, the likelihood of them not opening any of those pieces or seeing any of those pieces in their opening hand increases by a pretty substantial amount. So Pot of Desires will eliminate the threat of not being able to open the cards that you need and get you the resources that you need to more successfully complete your opening board more times than you would without Desires. Obviously, I'm not the first person to really notice this. As you can see, these are all of the decks that have topped at YCSs and regionals over the past several months. Every single one of these decks is running Pot of Desires, and as you can tell, this is a really big list. Decks from Trickstar to Infernoid to Zombies to ABCs to more Trickstars and on and on and on, etc., etc., etc. They're all using Pot of Desires. So at the end of the day, this does mean something, no matter what. If you want to deny it, that's fine, but this does mean something about Pot of Desires. Meta decks that are placing with this card probably are running this card because it is helping them place. And this is especially true for decks that aren't meta, like Blue Eyes and Infernoids. Cosmos are on here. More Zodiacless. There's another Cosmo, True Draco, Invoked Wind Witch. See, and that's my point. Now, I don't want to go ahead and say that the reason these decks topped is specifically because of Pot of Desires. However, you had to know that it had some sort of a hand in guiding these decks towards topping, because it's just an extra +1 that these decks can use to further advance their game state. And that's what I think is the story here, is that Pot of Desires helps people advance their game state. All of the top decks are running this card because people who are playing the top decks know that this card is an excellent +1 and it helps them make a better game state for themselves. So referring to what I said at the beginning of the video regarding casual players and their attitudes towards Pot of Desires, I do want to say for the record that I am not saying that all casual players are scrubby or dumb. because they don't like Pot of Desires. I am a casual player, and I don't mean to offend anybody or anything. But anyway, guys, please let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Do you agree, disagree, whatever, just let me know. But until next time, it's me, it's that DMD, and I am out.